clima.
Comrades, it's very appropriate, doubly appropriate that I'm saying this in the Nelson Mandela room of Ruskin House here in London, because the book I've written is about international solidarity with the struggle against the apartheid regime, and it's also because all the author's royalties from this book will go not to me as editor, but to the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. Now, if any of you have read the book by Ronnie Kasrils, it's called Armed and Dangerous, you'll know that there's a chapter in there called London Recruits, in which he explains that the African National Congress decided to start recruiting white people in London who had no connection with South Africa whatsoever. Therefore, they were not known to the Bureau of State Security, the boss, and they could be sent in to South Africa. Ronnie Kasrils first of all went to Liberation, where he met Tony Gilbert, and he recruited the first of the London recruits, a man named Dave King, who's now dead, and his girlfriend Deirdre Drury. Then he started studying at the London School of Economics and recruited students there, some of whom were members of the International Socialists, which later became the Socialist Workers' Party, and they went into South Africa in 1967 and onwards. But the main body, and some people were just non-aligned people who he recruited, but the main body of the London recruits were members of the British Young Communist League, the YCL, a few of them the Communist Party as well. And they did an amazing variety of things, but they all kept it secret over many, many years because they understood the discipline of it. And in fact, it was not until 2005 when I hit the age of 60 and I realised that if I didn't tell my story, it would die with me. And so I wrote my story, and then I thought, no, I won't just publish that. I'll get in touch with some of the others and try to get them all to write this story and put them all in one book, which I've now done. But it's been astonishing for me because I discovered that there was far more to it than I ever knew. A far wider range of activities and a huge and people that I knew personally but I didn't know were involved. And the activities they did are just amazing. Transporting a large quantity of weapons into South Africa, helping ANC fighters to enter South Africa, sometimes posing as honeymoon couples when in fact they weren't romantically involved, doing reconnaissance and intelligence work, but and posting large quantities of letters and packages from inside South Africa. But the main body of work that was done by the London recruits and the YCLers in between 1967 and 71, when I was involved, was setting off leaflet bombs and other leaflet distribution devices and street broadcasts. They'd make a tape of speeches and songs in London, and it would be broadcast in the streets of South Africa. And this was done in 5 cities simultaneously. Every year from 1967 to 71. Consequently, this gave the impression that the ANC, despite the setback of the Rivonia trial, was still highly organised and highly sophisticated right there inside the country, when in fact it was all being done from abroad, and these comrades were coming in. So it's a great story. I've written my book. It's called London Recruits: The Secret War Against Apartheid. It's published by Merlin Press. It's with the printers now. It'll be out in a few days. And you can order it online and so on from bookshops. There is a problem with this book, with publicising this book. All the costs were met by the Soviet Union, who also provide training and logistical support. Most of the people involved were communists. The problem with the book is it shows communism in a good light, and therefore it's probably going to be ignored in this country. I'm going to go on a tour shortly in South Africa, in a tour organised by the ANC, the COSATU and the South African Communist Party, to publicise it there. But here it's going to be a problem, so I'm going to ask you to help me, please, to publicise this book by reading it, buying it and letting people know. It's a story that Londoners can be proud of. It's a story that we as British people can be proud of, and a story that we as communists can be proud of. So please help me with this, comrades.